launch off a series of Q&As with our team members at Lo Schiavo Genealogica. And my first person is the one and only Corey Oiesen. She is our citizenship team leader. Welcome to the Q&A.
Thank you, Denise.
So my first question is, first of all, how long have you been with Lo Schiavo Genealogica?
I started working with Melanie in about 2012, doing some translation for her. And then I joined to do dual citizenship about 2013. So
Okay, great. And how long have you been doing this kind of work?
I've been a professional genealogist for the past 15 years and an amateur long before then.
I've been hearing that from other team members. It starts out as this passion, a personal passion, maybe researching their own family. Was that the case for you? Were you researching your own family?
It was, my mom was adopted, and so trying to find her birth family was my first project, and it's very addicting. Just take it from
Yeah.
there.
And did you pursue your own dual citizenship?
I sadly am not Italian. Only in my heart am I Italian. And so I get to
Oh,
enjoy everyone else getting some citizenship. Maybe I'll get adopted by one of them one of these days.
yeah. Wouldn't that be dreamy? That's right.
Yeah.
Sign me up as well. And you mentioned, it was really enjoyable to do this as an amateur, as a hobby, or whatever you want to call it. But what
Right.
motivated you to pivot into a professional career?
Uh, Following up some really hard cases as an amateur, like looking for a missing person, I started to realize the professionalism required to get this job done. You're having to work with various people at clerk's offices or police departments, and I thought, well, maybe I could do this as a career. So I started looking. I went to a major conference, the National Genealogical Society conference, and started meeting other professionals there. I talked to the Association of Professional Genealogists and learned that it is a career and that there's a high level of academia involved and that you have to kind of study and gear up to be one.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. Is it a very populated profession? Are there a lot of genealogists out there? Do you know? It's
And,
not on the question list, but I'm just curious.
no, they're not. And I believe that the Association of Professional Genealogists has about 3,000 members. So it is still a small field, but it's really taken off since I've joined. They've made a lot of strides in education and helping people get into the field. So I expect it'll grow, especially with the advent of DNA.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. What would you say was one of the most surprising discoveries or experiences you've discovered in your work?
For my Italian dual citizenship, every day is a surprise for me, but just finding how old that the records can be in Italy was just astounding to me that you can be holding a book from 1540 in your hand, and with that comes a great deal of responsibility. The priest at the church is only going to let you hold it if you're going to take good care of it. And so I think just the age of the records, I'm an American, and sometimes we're lucky if we can get a birth certificate from 1915, and it's a whole different matter over in Europe.
Yes, that's so true. It's almost magical, I bet, to be able to hold that amount of history. It's almost hard, I guess, sort of getting your head wrapped around of who else held that book.
It is, and it's hard to get your hands not to shake when you're trying to take a photo of it.
Yeah. What is one thing people get wrong when it comes to doing genealogical research?
I would say not being careful enough to prove the next generation back. So if you have Giuseppe Rossi, there's a gazillion guys with that name. Just because you found Giuseppe Rossi, don't go flying off and thinking that's your great great grandfather. You've got to sit and you've got to prove it, and you got to make sure that you have all available records and that you analyze them carefully so you don't attach yourself to the wrong line. That's
Yeah.
that's probably the number one thing to make sure you don't do.
Yeah, that'd be disappointing.
Yeah, and it happens a lot.
Oh. And what would you say are maybe some 3 tips, if you will, that you can share, some secret sauce, ways of doing research for the DIYers out there?
I would say exhaust all the resources of the country that the ancestor died in. So perhaps that's the United States or Brazil, Argentina, France. Go through every record the person had and their family had in the home country, not the home country, the immigrant's country. And
Mhm.
before you try to hop back to Italy, make sure you've got everything, because you may learn names of friends and neighbors who also came to the US. It will help you distinguish between all the Giuseppe Rossis in Italy.
Yeah, love
Plus,
that.
with Italian research, you need to know what the town is that they come from. Okay, so
Mhm.
that's number one. And number two is along those lines, you want to prove it before moving on. Don't just say the name matches, let's go. I got my great grandpa Giuseppe Rossi. Just make sure that you proved it and move slowly back in time. Don't make big jumps back in time. Slowly, slowly, like a baton race, handing off the baton from year to year, going back in time.
Mhm.
And then just for dual citizenship, if you're seeking that, call and ask the clerks before ordering a document, because if you rely on what's on the website, a lot of times that's not correct, and the clerks can help you explain, exactly what they have and how to get it, all the details.
Those are great tips.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. We're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the great country of Italy. What is one of your favorite places or things about Italy you'd like to share with us?
I'm definitely partial to Bergamo province because that's where Lo Schiavo Genealogica has its operations, and we've gotten to know quite a few people there who are very friendly. And I would say overall in Italy, everyone is so warm and welcoming. I did not speak any Italian when I first started working for Lo Schiavo, but I've come along now, and I would call myself an intermediate speaker, and people are so patient with me. Um, I've spoken other languages before in other countries, and people are not as patient with with mistakes, but Italians seem to know how to keep the conversation going. I really
Oh,
appreciate
I
that.
love that. I was also in that same region. We were talking off camera about it, and it's a gorgeous part of the country. I suspect one would be hard pressed to find an unattractive or unbeautiful place in the country. It's a pretty stunning place. I can't wait for my next trip. Whenever that is, I got to get that on the calendar.
That's right.
Um, so we're going to close it up with one final question. What is your favorite Italian expression and why?
I like acqua in bocca, water in mouth, because it's so visual. It means to keep a secret. So you can't tell a secret if you have water in your mouth. And genealogists, amateur or professional, are keepers of secrets. We don't go blabbing people's business. So I feel like that's probably my mantra is aqua in boca.
That's a good one. Thank you so much for your time today, Corey. It was great to kind of get a little more peek inside on some of the key tips and ideas you have around Italian genealogy research. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Denise.
Ciao.
Ciao.
If you would like to learn more about Italian dual citizenship or your Italian family tree, be sure to visit us online at italyancestry.com.